Alright. Oh shoot. Hold on. Forgot the most important part of this. The game, right? It's all about the game. Let me log into the game here. Today, we'll react to a few political and drama videos. So basically what everybody else is doing, right? Except for most people not being equipped to make political or legal commentary. Then again, I'm probably not the most qualified to make social drama commentary. I'm not super dramatic myself. Most of the time. When it's warranted. But we're gonna respond a little bit to this Ethan Klein H3 drama. I personally don't really care about it that much, to be honest with you, but I do think it's kind of funny. So this might be the only time I really talk about it, because otherwise I don't care that much. So we'll get it out of our system. Play a little bit of the Smuggler today. We're in Nar Shaddaa now, I believe, right? We moved on from Coruscant. And now we're going to the kind of center of the galaxy when it comes to smugglers and gamblers and miscreants and whatnot. Vice. It's Vice City. It's Star Wars Las Vegas. Give you a little bit of an idea, Disney, for your Disney World themes. You can make a Nar Shaddaa Vegas style Star Wars, adult for all your adult Disney fans like Papa Gut and stuff. I wonder if Papa Gut knows what Nar Shaddaa is. I feel like he's more of a casual fan. But anyways, I was looking for like I don't remember. Oh, here we go. It's like, what's up with the colors on my camera? I know I changed them to be kind of funny and stuff, or to be cheeky, but I don't remember how to change it back. Kind of digging the black and white though, to be honest with you. Oh, wait a second. Oh, there's no saturation, that's why. We're doing black and white stream today. It looks cool. Looks classy. There's got to be an easier way for my chats to load, my YouTube chat. Every single time I have to come in and manually reset the chat. I'm doing that right now. Give me a second. Oh. I mean, to be honest with you, it probably really doesn't matter, because I don't think anybody's going to be commenting or chatting at this time. It's like 12 o'clock. Well, then again, some of you are international, right? I guess there's always a possibility. And some of you are natural night owls, like I am.
So one of the things that
Whoa! Chill out, Kyle. Jeez. Alright. Let's update this. Boom, boom, bam. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Alright, what's going on here? What's new? Wait, I read this already on my other character, right? None of this is really new for me. I'm a vet, okay, none of this stuff. Not an actual vet, I mean like a veteran of this game. Stolen Valor. Okay. You haven't fought in the real war. You haven't fought in the Star Wars, okay? You wouldn't know. I have so much mail on this character. It's all like free shit from an update or something. What is this? Oh my god, this must be from that guild that I joined. I'm so curious. Apparently there's a bunch of drama, right? This guy's a grandmaster. There are changes happening. Yes, some leaders have changed and restructurings happened. This should be a little concerning. We will still have an invite open and a new ranking system in place. However, it is not any worry to anyone. The information, okay? Blah, 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 blah. There's an officer meeting. Why are you sending this to me? I'm not an officer. In-game movies, cutscenes. Friendly reminder, if you're in the group like the group flashes, please skip through all cutscenes, as most people do not want to waste time on watching them. This can be done solo as well. It is up to you when you are on your own, but please make sure to skip all cutscenes groups, such as flashpoints, ops. Okay. Promotions, important announcement. Jeez, dude, I gotta quit this guild as soon as possible. This shit's fucking annoying the fuck out of me. I wanna see all this fucking garbage in here. Alright, where's my guild tab? Get me out of here. Get me the fuck out of here. Where's the guild tab? Get me the fuck out of here. How do I fucking get off this fucking thing? Am I cursing too much? By the way, I don't know how that works. So I looked up YouTube's policy and they basically said to not be excessive, but I don't know what that means. I don't even know if they're enforcing that anymore. How do I get rid of myself on here? How many people are in this guild? Is it really just... Oh, there's 681, but there's just 7 online. How the fuck... I'm sorry. Curse words, curse words. I'm really only worried about it because I don't want to get, like, suspended on here or something, but... Bro, I don't want to be in this guild. Get me the fuck out of here. Okay. So stupid. SWTOR, how to leave a guild. Oh, really? I have to type it in chat? That's fucking lame. Why don't you just put a button on the freaking guild window? Right? That makes way too much sense. I don't know what I'm asking that for. I if it wasn't for the story and for me already being like enmeshed in this game, I hate MMOs. Like this like WoW style of MMO, I just can't stand. I always say it, but these things are a clusterfuck. They just are. There's just too much stuff going on. Alright, let's go to Nar Shaddaa. Let's see what Aber and Preacher are complaining about today.
Today's first topic. So this came up from Twitch. They essentially just banned this guy. The question that's arising is cancel culture making a comeback? Some of you might argue never.
It should.
That's an opinion.
This past weekend, Cloud9 dropped.
Hot take, okay? There's nothing wrong with cancel culture, okay? Cancel culture is just culture. Every culture, every single culture you're ever going to encounter in your life will have things that are taboo, that rub people the wrong way, they get you excommunicated from a group, from a culture. The idea that you can say and do and act however you want and other people are not going to have a reaction, other people aren't going to decide, I don't want to do business with you, I don't want to associate with you, I don't want to hang out with you anymore, is childish. It's time for you guys to grow the fuck up, okay? The government shouldn't make laws around, hey, you're not, you can't wear the color pink or purple, or you can't talk this way, right? The government shouldn't get involved. But when it comes to person interaction, private entity to private entity, other people can decide, hey, you know what? You're fucking annoying. I'm not hanging out with you anymore. Or, hey, you know what? You're racist. Uh-oh, someone called you racist, right? You're racist. I don't want to hang out with you. And that's fair. Go hang out with other racist people. Like, if you want to be racist, go hang out with other racist people. If you want to if you don't like gay people, then don't hang out with gay people. You know what I mean? But they don't have an obligation to host you. They don't have an obligation to do business with you. They don't have an obligation to hear you, like, say, like, offensive shit and then kiss your ass for it. No one has an obligation to do that for you. Cancel culture is fine. It's really just a question of, like, what are you canceling people over? For example, right? Everyone would agree that you should cancel pedophiles. Okay? I got a newsflash for you. It's not illegal to be a pedophile. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Like, what do you mean? That's crazy. Of course it is. No, it's not. It's illegal to engage in any kind of, like, molestation of children or anything like that. But to simply be one is not illegal. To even express the opinions in favor of it is not illegal in the United States. It might be different in other countries, but in the United States, your right to free speech covers a very wide range of stuff. So it's not illegal to be a pedophile. It's not illegal to express pedophilic opinions, right? It's illegal to act on that, but it's not illegal to be that or to have those opinions, right? But everybody would agree that you should cancel those people out of your community. Christian groups would cancel them, right-wingers will cancel them, left-wingers will cancel. Everybody's going to cancel people who, talk about kids like that. No one's going to be like, oh, you can't cancel me. That's cancel culture. Everyone's going to be like, get the fuck out of here. No one wants anything to do with you, right? Everybody agrees on that, right? It's everything else. Everything else that people may or may not cancel for, people have disagreements because guess what? People have different cultures. There's different cities. Different cities have different cultures. Different communities have different cultures. Different friend groups have different cultures. Different regions of the United States have different cultures. So what is cancelable to you in your community might be different from what's cancelable to another group in another community, but that's culture. That's what culture is. There's different standards in different cultures, right? But there are some shared things. Like I said, like, no one's going to tolerate pedophilia, right? No one's going to say, oh, you shouldn't cancel that person over pedophilia. No, you should cancel it, right? If you're going to express those points of view and everything, people understand that that's toxic to the community. It's toxic to the environment. If you feel comfortable expressing those opinions, like if you wander into a community, in that community they're comfortable expressing those kinds of opinions, it's not just speech, right? People will pretend that other things that people say and do, they're just like, oh, it's just speech, it's just words, get over it, bro. But everybody intuitively already understands this. If you're in a community where a lot of the people in that community express, like, pedophilic ideas and stuff like that, you already know, keep your children away from those people. Why? Right? Oh, it's just words. No, it's not words. The words are an expression of what people think and feel, and those thoughts and feelings are what people also act upon. So when people express views that are like pro-pedophilia and everything, you look at that person and you think to yourself, I don't trust you around kids. Of course, right? If you're someone that goes around and you're always talking shit on trans people, I'm going to look at you and go, you're probably a transphobe. You're probably going to mistreat trans people. If you and other people were to get into power, you're probably going to mistreat trans people, right? It's not a surprise. It's not a shock. It's not just words, right? Words are an expression of what you think and you feel. Unless you're just being, like, ingenuine or you're just, like, saying random shit, right? But most of the time, they're an expression of what you internally think and feel, and that is what motivates your actions. So of course these things matter, and of course people cancel you over, if you go outside the boundaries, if you say and do things that hurt or offend other people within that community, yeah, they're gonna fucking cancel you. And good. I mean, they should have the right to do that. Go hang out somewhere else. Go hang out with people who, like the things that you say or do or whatever. You don't have to hang out with a group of people who you disagree with, That is, by the way, that's one of the beauties of the American system. A part of the First Amendment that people generally forget is the concept of free association. the idea that, you know, you can kind of sort yourself out. You can decide, hey, I want to hang out with this group. I don't want to hang out with these people. I don't want to associate with this guy. I don't want to do business with this person. I don't want to attach my reputation to this person or this group or whatever, right? Those things, those are totally perfectly legitimate things to do. Anyways.
Drop Joseph Mango Marquez, one of the most famous Super Smash
Oh, this whole thing. Okay. I saw other people talking about this Mango guy who was like going around being a fucking weirdo. And see, this is, by the way, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. When you have like a guy like that in your community who's going around, and for those of you that don't know, this Mango guy is some streamer, I guess. Was hanging out with some other streamers, and he got really drunk, and he was being really creepy and weird. He was like humping everything, and like being around like the women, like not humping the women, but like making the humping motion like around them and stuff, and they were uncomfortable. And the rest of the guys just kind of like tolerated his behavior. Oh, it's funny, he's quirky and all that stuff. Here's the issue with that, right? You have to cancel people like that out of your community. And the reason for that is, well, I mean, unless you want to hang out with a bunch of fucking losers, then don't cancel them, right? But if you have people like that in your community, what is it going to do? Like, the women who want to hang out with you are going to stop hanging out with you because they're not going to feel safe, right? They're going to feel like they're preyed upon. They're going to feel uncomfortable, right? And they don't have to hang out with you if they feel fucking uncomfortable, if they're not having a good time. So now you're like you're pushing away, you know, half of the people that you can hang out with, pushing away half of the, you know, the other half of the gender divide or whatever. And then you're also going to have, frankly speaking, like guys like me are going to be like, well, you know, this guy's fucking annoying, he's douchey, he's creepy, like, I'm not having fun either, this is just fucking weird and cringing, I don't want to be here. So you wind up creating a toxic environment. And that matters, it does matter, right? And so like a guy like that, he either, you know, and it doesn't always have to be canceling. I think canceling should be, like sometimes you do something that's bad enough where you need to be put in a timeout and you get canceled for it, right? And maybe you reform yourself over time, you can kind of get reintegrated back in. And honestly, that's been the way that society has functioned for thousands of years. People like overreact about this whole like cancel culture thing. And like I said earlier, it's just culture. That's always how culture has functioned. If and when you do things that are outside of the norms of a culture, then the people in that community are gonna kind of like excommunicate you. And then over time, you know, usually over time people kind of are a little bit more forgiving, and then they kind of look to see if you've changed your behavior, and you know, sometimes you kind of work your way back in. On the flip side, you don't always have to cancel someone. Sometimes it's something more minor where it's like, okay, you talk to someone, are they willing to change their behavior? Are they willing to, you know, admit fault, take responsibility? And then you kind of move forward with that. It doesn't always have to be canceling. Sometimes it's just a conversation. Sometimes I think that might be the problem that we have in our societies. I think we're not always comfortable having those awkward conversations where it's like serious and you're telling somebody, you know, hey, there's something about yourself that other people don't appreciate. You know, that's an awkward conversation for sure. But sometimes it needs to happen because the flip side is that someone is behaving a way that is, you know, turning other people off, that's pushing other people away, and they don't even realize what they're doing because no one, you know, tells them. Now, I think I saw this Mango guy actually apologize for what he did, and that's great. I think he needs a bit of a timeout. I think that's fair. I think he would probably, well, I don't really know, actually, I don't know much about him. But it's good that he's taking responsibility for it. I don't think that means it needs to be canceled for forever. I think it's worth considering that he took accountability for his behavior, and it's worth looking to see, okay, are you going to do anything to change that behavior? You know, if you have a problem with getting drunk and alcohol and stuff like that, okay, are you doing anything about that? Are you changing that behavior, or are you just making an empty, shallow apology just so that, you know, people forgive you and then drop their guard again? You know, that's what's important. But at any rate, let's see what this conversation's about. This is my favorite Star Wars species, by the way, Ithorians.
Maybe you should reconsider your choice of lifestyle.
Druga the Hutt. I don't know what the point of that conversation was. Where the hell's the taxi? I'm blind.
Currently open for business.
Alright, I don't know if I really want to watch this. Yeah, that's the other thing too, right? Because I just realized what the title of the video is. He ruined his life and his friends cheered. That's a really good point, is that, you know, his friends thought that they were doing him a favor by, like, tolerating his behavior and, like, looking the other way and, you know, making excuses for him. But if they would have stepped in at some point and said, hey man, like, you're too drunk, let's take you back to your hotel, or I'll call you Uber or something, or do you want to sleep it off in my room, right? Or hey bud, like, you know, can you stop doing that humping thing, like you're making all the women here uncomfortable. They would have spared him a lot of humiliation. They would have spared him, you know, a lot of damage to his reputation and stuff. So they're not really doing him a favor by just kind of letting him get away with bad behavior. You know, they would have been doing him more of a favor to kind of have a bit of a small intervention on his behavior.
I've got good suppliers. All the best sold here.
And I think you can apply that principle more generally as well, right? To other types of behavior that might lead to someone getting canceled or whatnot. That allowing someone to just kind of engage in behavior like that is not really doing them a favor in the long run. It's not doing society a favor in the long run.
Stand by for examination of suggested products.
What society and what culture and what the legal system is, it really is just kind of the organization of human beings, human individuals. And so when we tolerate behavior that's bad in society, it starts to infect all of society, right? But I don't know if I want to watch this video. Like, I've already kind of seen enough of this, so we'll move on from this one.
Man, I can't even keep up with.
All right, so let's see
Hi
what
there. My name
H3
is Ethan Klein, and
thinks
my
all about.
favorite hobby is spending hundreds of.
I will say, you know, I've seen videos of him when he was a little bit, you know, chubbier and stuff, and I know he lost weight. It's my understanding that he lost weight the old-fashioned way. He didn't like go on Wegovy or whatever that other one was, Ozempic. Which, by the way, I'm not like opposed to those things or anything like that. You know, if it works for you, cool. I don't really care. But you know, credit to him, honestly. I mean, he's looking good. You know, he's looking good. He's you know, a lot more in shape now. You know, just want to say props. You know, I think that's it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do to, you know, if you've been one size or one weight for a long time to get the weight off and then keep it off. It definitely, you deserve props for it.
Thousands of dollars on lawyers. Today, I invite you into my home to share my favorite pastime with you. Join me in creating generational wealth for my attorney. Let me tell you guys a story. About a year and a half ago, there's a big conversation called ReactGate. ReactGate was a debate going on in the streaming community about what constituted fair use.
I haven't played
People
this
like
character.
Hassan,
I actually kind of
XQC,
forgot how to
and
play.
many of the large Twitch streamers.
I forgot how
watch
fun
other
it is.
creators'
I like
entire
this
video
character.
on their stream. They
Or
would
this
rarely
class.
add
I like the
sufficient
sniper class.
commentary or even pause the video.
Oh, that's me right now, being a chair streamer. But I remember when this debate did break out, and I was basically making this point that a lot of people abuse, you know, the reaction, especially like XQC. Right? XQC would just sit there and go like, "Oh, that's crazy, chat," or Osmond Golden's just, "Oh, that's right, right." I made this point at the time, and it seems to be like the legal standard and everything. I think if you're making a reaction where, you know, you're adding something to it, you're transforming the content, that's fine. When you're just kind of using the the content and you're just using it to kind of fill a space for your own lack of like commentary or entertainment or whatever, then really you're just restreaming the content and you're making money off of what other people have put together. So that's not cool.
Video to speak. Most egregiously, they would re-upload the entire VOD to YouTube with the same thumbnail, the same title, so that they could cannibalize traffic from the
What
original
the
video.
hell? That's crazy. Okay, I've never heard of that or seen that. Like they used the same thumbnail and the same title. That's wild to me. I wonder how that works. I wonder if that's like a YouTube algorithm thing that they're taking advantage of. I'm not, you know, I'm not at that level where I really understand how the YouTube algorithm works or how to game it. But that's fucking crazy to me that you would just upload the video, you wouldn't do much to transform the content, and then you're using the same thumbnail and the title? That's fucking crazy.
Here's what
That's crazy,
Lamino
chat.
had to say about this phenomenon.
I don't mind people reacting to my videos, but I do mind when they play the entirety of my video. A face cam in the corner or the occasional interruption does nothing to address that issue. My video is still being played from beginning to end in someone else's stream or video. It's neither ethical nor necessary to feature the entirety of someone else's work. Or, you know, they could do the bare minimum
I
and
do
ask
that.
for permission.
But I do make reactions to it, right? I don't just like let it play in the background. Although I mean maybe it's a fair point for him to say like you played the whole video and you from start to finish. I don't know. I guess that might be a bit of a fair point. I think maybe there's a little bit of a difference though if you're like if it's a live stream thing. I think it's hard for you to know like which parts of the video are going to be relevant until you get to it, right? That's different than say like you pre-record it and then you release it as a video. Like if I were to take some of my reactions here from these live streams and then make like a video out of it, like make a little shorter video that's like, oh, reaction to the H3 content nuke or whatever, I would edit that down to like remove the parts that are like, you know, I'm not really reacting to or not making commentary about or that, you know, aren't super relevant, or I don't really need to use all of his video. I think that's fair. But I do think it's a little bit different when you're live reacting. You can't really help it. You kind of have to, you know,
that none of the major
react to the
reaction
video as it
channels
goes
have ever
along.
done when they've streamed or
If you're
re-uploaded
truly
my
reacting
videos.
to it for the first
But
time.
to answer your question, no, I don't want people to stream or re-upload the entirety of my videos.
Now, understandably, this made a lot of people angry because why should these content thieves, essentially, get more views than the author of the video, which in a lot of cases was happening? I mean, people don't like injustice, and this just, we all see this, and no, it's not right. This debate culminated when XQC, one of the prime suspects, called into my show to debate me,
I like how
in which case I'm
hiding
sad to
underneath the
report
shielding
that I
this
was
dude could just reach over and
terribly
smack me.
wrong.
So in that regard, do you care at all about like IP or copyright? Or like the fact that it's illegal? Does that matter? If it
This might be a bit of a hot take, but I don't really like XQC. I really don't. I think he's a pretty ingenuine person. I know about him because he used to interact with Destiny a lot in Destiny's stream. And when he was, I think he played this whole game of like being like kind of like on Destiny's side of politics. And then he came out and he campaigned for Donald Trump, right? He'll say like, oh, I wasn't really endorsing your campaign. You were, right? You were letting him, you know, doing a whole media event for him. You're campaigning for him. Wore his shirt and everything. And then I guess recently he's been kind of making like arguments in the pro-Trump side. He was defending Elon when Elon was doing his Nazi salute. I get the impression from XQC, same thing with the whole content new, that this all kind of just wraps into like my analysis of his behavior, is that really he's just an opportunist. He just wants to make money off of YouTube, and he'll go with the prevailing winds of whatever's popular or whatever his audience likes or thinks or sees at the time. I don't think he, you know, genuinely really stands for anything. All that political nonsense was just it was just a grift, you know. How do I take cover here? I forget, what is my roll move? What the hell does F do? I see. How do I roll into cover though? There we go.
Got the tools and the talent.
I have to remember to heal. You know, I'm so used to having my sidekick character be a healer, but I haven't been doing that. Oh shit, we're getting low on health.
Close to death.
Is he? I guess he kinda is.
That it might be illegal, does that matter to you?
No.
It doesn't matter.
Well, if flat out doesn't.
On Fiverr, you can find the perfect freelancer to build your website. But you probably already know a guy.
Because
That's another annoying thing about modern social media and the internet is, and it wasn't always really this way, to be completely honest with you, if you're old enough to remember. But it seems like over the past decade, like, it's rewarded the absolute worst intentioned people possible. Like, why is XQC popular for? I don't really understand it, to be completely honest with you. I mean, then again, I've never really watched his streams or anything, but is he really that entertaining? Is he saying or doing anything interesting? It seems like he just streams other people's content, makes like occasional, very tepid remarks, and sometimes just saying, oh, that's cool, or that's crazy. And then you listen to the way that he talks, you look at his behavior around politics and everything, and it just seems like he's an ingenuine, like, careless person that doesn't really care about anyone else or anything else but himself and his own, you know, money and everything. Like, why are we rewarding this person, right? Honestly, he's probably a fucking idiot, to be completely real with you. Like, anyone who dresses like what the fuck is this? And then you have the opinions that you do. You know, you're probably a fucking idiot.
But that's fair.
Watch me full screen cam, do the fucking worm, then watch your
Do
prime.
that.
Then watch
Bro,
your prime
do
content.
it for a week. Do a week of no reaction content and see how many fucking views you get. Oh, okay, sure.
What is this?
I mean, that's content, man. It's original content, at least.
The ultimate debate, bro. He hit him with the worm. Oh, why didn't I think of that first? I kid XQC, but he is not the one I'm suing. Despite my criticism,
this is a
he's
cool
not a
little
malicious
section of
infringer.
Narshada.
But
I
the
don't
ones I
remember
am
running into
suing,
this. This is
you'll
fucking
see
cool.
are much, much worse. Now, ironically, after this debate and in the wake of this large conversation, the problem seems to have only gotten worse. You have people like Hassan Piker paving the way of fair use with what's known as charity.
Some will say too that Ethan's trying to punish certain creators for their speech, but you know what? Yeah, he is. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, we need to get back to having consequences for bad behavior. Rather than just like, oh, you can say and do and act like a piece of shit and no one can do anything. You know, it's like, nah, you know, there should be some pressure to behaving like an asshole.
Listen to the Wookiee boast of his murders. This monster has slaughtered entire Hutt clans, but his reign of terror ends. Before he dies, he will know true fear. We Kalish warriors swear it by our blood.
I don't think so.
That Wookiee's not afraid of you, pal.
Keep back, you idiot. That beast will tear your head off, just like he did to Nordro the Fearless. His claws are stained with the entrails of many. His bloodlust can't be satisfied. Warriors, kill these scum!
I think this is Grievous's species, right? I don't like the way every single one of them that I've engaged with in this game have like the most cheesy, you know, voice diction. They remind me of that,
Whoa, Captain.
Oh,
Don't
damn
get
it.
so close. Thing's liable to tear your arms off and beat you to death with them.
What is up with his neck, by the way? What's going on here? No, but they remind me of, who's that, like, nerdy character from Arrested Development, like the mama's boy? He has that voice, that actor.
There's nothing to be afraid of. Tell that to the reptiles littering the floor.
Bodar. I feel like, was Bodar in Knights of the Old Republic? Why does that name sound so familiar? Oh no, I guess he's only in the Old Republic. Oh, wait a second. That was cool concept art. It was a good fight. Bodar honors you. Tell me about it. Why am I gonna call him a miserable beast for?
Alright.
Oh, I didn't even notice all these people here. All these dead bodies. Let the bodies hit the floor. Okay, where's Glub Shido at?
Those Kalish ticked me off. It was all a big misunderstanding. I apologize for intruding.
That's not what I meant. This dude's got the Super Saiyan scanner thing.
I'm sure someone else will want this rare specimen.
Some strong negotiating tactics right here.
There's no reason we can't cut a deal here.
18th. What about 5th breakfast? I have more words. Oh, damn it. I didn't even get a chance to read it. Alright, Bodar. I guess I gotta go find another member of this species, whatever it is.
We overheard your conversation with the Great Feast Master. Druga can be most fickle. You have our deepest sympathies, we are sure.
Is there anything we can do about it?
If you seek to conclude your business with Druga, use his fickle nature to your advantage. Returning Druga's female beast would rekindle his interest in yours.
I like how he says this all within earshot of Druga. By the way, do you guys have any members of your family or whatever, friends that do this where they'll talk about somebody in earshot and they drag you into that conversation and you're like so embarrassed because you're like, I don't want to say anything or comment on this because they can fucking hear us. They're like right there. I don't know what makes you think they can't hear us from like 2 feet away. I hate when that happens.
I don't even know what happened. How am I supposed to find this thing?
Look here. This holo recording was left by the thieves who
Holo.
stole Druga's female Shunjaru. It may interest you.
When will the Hutts learn that nature's creatures are not for their sick entertainment? So long as innocent beasts are victimized by
like
the
these
decadent
pants.
slave masters of Nar Shaddaa, we will fight for all life.
The woman continues like this for another 3 hours. We use her recording to lull ourselves to sleep at night.
Wow, you guys are so cool.
She's a real windbag, all right.
We are grateful her discourse is not the equal of her passion. We need our rest. The woman is a wealthy Republic senator's daughter. She violently opposes all who abuse wild creatures.
Why would you do that?
She spends her father's wealth hiring mercenaries to fight her war. They maintain a base nearby.
Those mercenaries are gonna pay for complicating my life.
We admire your affection for violent solutions. Should you discover any useful leads, bring them to us. We will happily assist your search. We will dock this pleasure barge at these coordinates. Find us there. Good hunting.
I can equip the vibro knife, but does my character have any moves that use a vibro knife? I don't remember seeing any. Are these bound to me yet? Binds and equipment. Okay. I think I'm gonna throw it in the cargo hold. That's a cool ass outfit, but I'm not gonna use it on this character. Doesn't really match him either. I feel like I can use it on a Jedi character, but which one? I'm not really sure.
Chair reacts when Hassan gets up to go to the bathroom, or to eat, or to talk to his mom, or to do whatever, disappears for an extended period of time, and leaves the video playing for his chair. Mr. Chair, they call it.
IDF had warned people to leave the area around the main airport in Sana. Then this.
I like how they're so brazen that they even have a nickname for it, Mr. Chair. One of my really good friends is a Hassan fan. Kind of sucks, but you know, I don't think he realizes how kind of grifty and off the deep end Hassan is. There's that expression, don't attribute to malice, which, you know, you can attribute to, I guess the phrase is incompetence, but in this case, when it really be incompetence I'm referring to, it's just like not knowing what you don't know, not seeing things from the outside, I guess. There's that, and there's a lot of girls who like Hassan, I guess, because he's attractive, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm not into dudes, but, you know, even so, I don't look at him like... I look at a dude like Brad Pitt, or... who else would be like a classically attractive person where you can look at him and be like, you know what? I understand why women are into him. There's like Brad Pitt in his youth, right? Who else is like a stud that people swoon after? I mean, there's a lot of chicks like Leonardo DiCaprio. I feel like in his older age, he's not like he hasn't aged the best, right? I don't know. So just like model-looking guys, right? But like Hassan, like he's tall. He's not ugly by any means. I guess he's like conventionally good looking, but I don't look at him and think like, oh my god, like that's a model's, like a, you know, like if you look up like models, right, male model, right, like look at this dude. This dude's got like very, I don't know, chiseled features and stuff. Look at this dude, right? This dude looks all swashbuckling and stuff. Look at this guy. And like Hassan's not bad looking or anything, but I'm not like oh my god, like okay, sure, fine, you know, that's okay. Some of these photos are actually kind of funny. What the fuck is this? Also, what is this? What is this? Maybe it's just me. I actually think there's kind of something funny about his face. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe for me personally, I just kind of look at it and it's just kind of comical to me. I think someone pointed this out before. He does kind of have a small head for his proportions, right? For his body. He does, doesn't he? That might be what it is. Yeah, look at this. Like his face kind of looks small for the rest of his body. It does, the more I look at it. That's funny. Anyways. That's good editing.
This operation will result in the killing of hostages in captivity.
It's pretty funny. So I never watched like the H3 channel or anything. I don't know what it is. My impression is it looks like a variety show or something, which I never find interesting. But some of the like, I don't know if you call it a video essay, like some of the video essays that I've seen from him have been pretty decent, especially in terms of like editing and whatnot. I mean, he's been at this business for a while, right? You'd expect him to have good editing skills and like a good eye for like video content. But nevertheless, I mean, it's still worth pointing out that like this is good use of editing and whatnot.
And it was in this setting that I formulated an idea. What if I could make a long-form, irresistible piece of content that I knew that these streamers couldn't resist, they couldn't avoid the temptation of watching it the second it was published?
I don't have an issue with them.
It's not that I wanted.
Be right back. Do a chair stream. Keep the stream running. Want to snack on something right now, but I don't really have anything good in my apartment. The thing is, since I started living here, my job, they basically feed us like every day. You know, take us out to lunch, and I'll often have leftovers. So I'll just bring leftovers home for dinner. So I haven't really needed to get groceries for a long time. Sounds pretty crazy. But on the occasional day that I'm off of work and I'm craving food or something to snack on, I don't have anything. So that's kind of a problem.
These people to steal my video.
What was I going to say? I was going to say something. I forgot.
I knew they would watch the entire video, add little to no commentary, react to
That's
it
crazy,
instantly, giving them no time to form an opinion.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Is that while they're simultaneously hating on him big time, right? Calling him all kinds of things, genocide supporter and all that. They're simultaneously like making a lot of their business model off of just reacting to his videos, like anticipating, oh, he's going to drop another hour-long video. I'm going to use this for content, right? Something to like kind of pad out, like the blank space and everything. And it just, there's something like ironic and shitty about that, you know, you don't really have much of a business, much of a, you know, something to think about or talk about without his content, while you're simultaneously, you know, treating him, you know, calling him all these crazy names and accusing him of this and that. So his strategy here of making you know, whatever, an hour-long video, whatever he said, to get them to react to it because he knew that they would. It's pretty clever, but also just kind of crazy. I don't know. It's just kind of crazy to me.
Trap was set, and it worked even better than I imagined it would. We captured pretty much every large streamer reacting to it in its entirety immediately after it was published. Now the thing is, there were a few people that went above and beyond to commit copyright infringement. For example, Denim sits here silently with nearly 50,000 live viewers. That's 30 times her regular viewership.
50,000 live
She's
viewers.
Working.
And that's 5 times? Oh no, wait a second. That's 6 times, right? Oh, peak viewers. Average viewers is 50 times. I mean, hey, that's like 1,000 times my average viewers. 1,000 times 0 is still 0, but we're going to pretend that the number's 1.
directly with the Snark subreddit moderators to siphon views, and their intentions couldn't be clearer. Here's an excerpt from a stickied post from the Snark subreddit. Hey everyone, we've seen a lot of comments about wanting to watch the nuke without showing support for H3. Here's a list of creators who've supported our sub, either by engaging with us directly or citing our post in their critique of H3. Here they're offering these streamers as market substitutes for my work. This is the cardinal sin of copyright infringement. The Snark subreddit has been a frequent and persistent infringer. That's how I knew when this video came out, the Snarkers were going to encourage, promote, and push streamers to commit copyright infringement. I should thank the Snarkers actually. Because of their predictability, they acted like double agents for us, incriminating their favorite streamers and serving them up on a golden platter.
I like this. You know, turning your enemy's tools against them. It's like the best form of revenge. I didn't even fully heal from that last one. Where the hell's my healing thing? Is it this one? Oh, it is.
Platter. So, thank you, Snark. It's one thing for a subreddit to admit it's engaged.
It's all on Twitch, huh? What the hell is the Do Not Worry podcast? Kind of curious. Do Not Worry podcast. I have no familiarity with this person, I don't think. And then, what was the other one? Uninformed leftist. Hey, by the way, guys, you don't have to be a leftist in order to not be far right or to not be a conservative, right? It's weird. It feels like these days, like if you're not like MAGA or you're not conservative, like you have to be a leftist. You don't have to be a leftist. You could be. Crazy idea, right? I'm just throw it out there. You could just be a liberal. You don't have to be a leftist. You don't have to go to that extreme. You could be, you know, reasonable, rational, normal. Who is this person? I still have no idea who this person is, but whatever. I'm guessing it's this guy. Bro, let me close that window. Jeez.
And copyright infringement. But how do you get the streamers themselves to admit that they're stealing content?
You killed those men. What kind of monster are you?
Those mercenaries shot at me first.
Sure, justify your slaughter. That's what your type always does. The Shanjaru is gone, and I'll never tell you where Momi took it. I'm ready to die for my cause. Are you?
If you won't listen to reason, listen to this.
Better than blasting her, I guess.
Yeah, you know
what?
what? Okay. I don't really feel like that's in character for him.
What kind of monster are you?
I don't feel like my character would punch a woman.
Hey, those mercenaries.
Sure,
he's not like a
your
good guy,
slaughter.
but
That's what your type always does. The Shanjaru is
he's got,
gone,
you know, that
and I'll never
benevolent
tell you
sexism.
where Momi took it. I'm ready to die.
I'm not on her side, but I'm also not trying to kill her either. God, they don't really give me an option here, right? I mean, I would say that I'm on her side to, like, lie to her. I wonder if I have that option. Like, if I choose this, do I have to set the things free, or... I don't know, we'll see what happens.
This has all been a huge misunderstanding. I'm trying to help you.
He always sounds like he's lying and being sarcastic.
Momi must have hired you to transport the Shanjaru off Nar Shaddaa. I'm so sorry about those mercenaries. You came to the wrong place. You're supposed to go to Laje's. This data pad explains everything.
This lady's super
Take this too.
gullible.
It's the least I can do after all this. I can't stay here.
Unbelievable. One of these days you have to teach me how you do that.
Okay, so that was implied. The option was implied to be a lie. But it didn't look that way when I selected it, right? I didn't really have any indication that it was lying. Because usually it'll have a parenthesis say lie, right?
I'm leaving you in charge until I return. Leger says there's a way to smuggle the
Leger.
Shanjaro off-world. We'll return the poor creature to the wild where it belongs, and show those scum they can't exploit nature on our watch. I'll return from Leger's as soon as I can. Freedom for all life!
At least we got a name. Maybe that blue-headed fella at Druga's knows this Leger.
That blue-headed fella has a name, Corso.
That's not what I meant.
And if he didn't talk all strange, I might know what it is. People here need to work on their communication.
Okay.
Content.
Hey, what's up, guys? I found this beer left over from some campers, and I'm totally wasted. I'm sorry I bumped the camera. Have you guys...
I hate these AI videos, and it's not because like I'm principally opposed to AI art. I'm not. Right? I think that if they're going to reference other artists, I think that they owe them compensation. But all art is derivative. Every piece of art is derivative. It all just builds upon itself and its influences. So I don't really have an issue with that. But I hate AI videos because just like the content of them, they're fucking annoying. They're so annoying. They all do this thing, by the way. I don't know if you notice, like a lot of these AI videos, they're like doing this thing and they're like talking with like big exaggerated eyes and they're always doing these hand gestures. I don't know why, right? I'm an AI, write a better code, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, do you need to shove your face into the fucking camera? It reminds me of, when it comes to like CGI movies, I don't know what it is. I don't know why they choose to do this, but they always take the CGI character and they always do like a very close-up shot of their face. And it's like, what are they doing? Are they trying to show off, like, look how good our CGI is? And then they're having the opposite effect because by zooming in on the face, you're like showing off all the imperfections of your CGI. They all do that, and they'll have like creatures too, and the creature will like roar, and the camera will zoom in right next to their face, and it like makes the CGI look bad. I'm not gonna. It's too specific what I'm talking about here. I'm not gonna find a good example of it. But like this Tarkin scene is probably a good example, right? Did they need to zoom in like this close? Did they need to do that? Right? You couldn't have him a little bit further away so you can kind of hide some of the imperfections in the CGI? You have to zoom in? You have to be like right here? You know, why do they do stuff like this? Why do you gotta do that for? You know, keep it at a bit of a distance. It helps fool the eye a little bit. When you zoom in that close, you notice the imperfections easier. This is so weird looking. Like the proportions here are way fucked up. Like her eyes are gigantic compared to her, like her head. This still isn't that bad. And some of the other, like this one, this looks bad. What is the issue here, by the way? Like trying to diagnose this. I would think that the issue here is that the shadow on this lip probably needs to be darker. Because right now, this part looks flat. It doesn't look like it has dimension. I feel like that's the issue right here. Yeah, because this is a real image of him, right? This one's not so bad. Yeah, I don't know. Or yeah, let's look at Jurassic Park. Jurassic World Rexy. Right? And they have to zoom in to its face super like this. They always do this shit right here. Look at how bad this looks, right? Once they zoom in. Everything's okay at a distance. Why? Why do you zoom in that close? Why do you do that? Like, it looks like fisheye lens. It looks a little bit too, like the perspective looks a little too forced to me. And then there's something about when you're this close, just the imperfections. It looked cartoonish to me. You know, I can't put my finger on what exactly it is. Something else I've noticed about CGI characters, some of the more recent ones, is I feel like there's too much, I don't know what the technical term is here, but too much specularity. Like, there's too much definition. You know what I mean? You're producing a clarity, a perfection in the image that you wouldn't get on normal filming with a camera, you know, unless you're being super, super meticulous. And I think it stands out against like the rest of the surroundings that the CGI character is in, that the CGI character looks more in focus, the details are more sharp and more crisp than everything else around it, and it stands out too much. So like, look at this T-Rex, right? Look at all the little subtle specks of like light like bouncing off of individual scales, right? You got a lot of variation in color. You have a lot of variation in, like I was saying, specularity. I don't know what the term actually is, but like light. You have these little light glistening right here. I don't know if that's supposed to be moisture or just the scales, right? There's a lot of it. And technically, sure, you might have these kind of reflections, right? Look at the reflections on the blood. I feel like that's too much. I feel like it's too shiny, right? Now, let's look at the T-Rex from the original Jurassic Park for comparison. Okay, this one's also CGI, and you can tell it is, right? But we give it some grace because it's from like the 90s. Also, you're not zooming in on its like super close up. And this is a scene that's in motion as well, right? This one, the issue with this one, I feel like, is that it looks too perfect. Like, this creature looks too perfect. Where's the saliva? Where's like the slightly different colorations? Like, this looks like an animal that's been preserved at a zoo, where like they're meticulously cleaned and everything. It's like the difference between if you have an animal from a zoo versus an animal in the wild. Like, they're not perfectly groomed and they don't look perfect like this. They're gonna have like dirt and dust on them, and they're gonna look all janky. This is not, no, this is a recreation of that scene with a toy. What I'm trying to find is the, okay, look at this, right? Here's another thing too. Look at how dark certain sections of its body are, where you can't even really tell like color gradations, it just looks like black. If this was produced with like modern day CGI, I feel like they'd have a lot of gradients of darker colors here. But I feel like the issue with that is, realistically, when you're filming something, your camera is not actually picking up all the details that accurately. You are getting like things getting kind of cut off, in the sense that like the gradient of colors are getting cut off at some point. And part of that too is because if you're setting like your aperture or something, you might be setting it so like you can get general lighting of the entire scene. You're worried about the entire scene, right? So for example, like this flare, if you expose this more and you get more of the light on this dinosaur's underside, this flare now becomes too bright, right? Or over here, right? I don't know if you can even see, actually, can you even see this in the, oh, you can't see it. Let me see if I can do it like this. Oh shoot, I don't want to watch this scene. Open image. Okay, there we go. Okay, how much can you, okay, yeah. So like, over here in this area, this is lighter. This might be too light, right? Look at the T-Rex itself is kind of, granted this is a screenshot of a moving video or whatever. it's a little bit out of focus, but you expect that, right? Like, look at this tree here. You're not getting every little intimate detail of the tree, right? You wouldn't be getting that at the dinosaur either. This would be slightly out of focus, right? The focus seems to be kind of here, right, on Grant. So like as you move further back, and the truck is pretty well in focus. As you move further back, you're going to be out of focus. Now, your eye naturally doesn't look at the world this way because everywhere your eye focuses, your eye is making micro little adjustments to account for that. So like, if I look around my room, right, there's a light source over here. If I direct my eye that way, my pupils will constrict to account for the change in light. If I move my eyes over here, right, where there's a shadow, they'll open up a little bit to let in more light so I can see that better. But it's seamless. You don't even notice that your eye is doing this. By contrast, if I took a picture of this with a camera, the light is either going to be overexposed in order to make this shadow over here, you know, seeable, viewable, or I underexpose the shadow over here, so you get a lot of dark in this region, but then the light is not overexposed because you're only really setting one exposure for the entire photo. I think there might be some modern cameras that make like they take multiple pictures at one time to expose everything. You know, like the particular amount for the given area, and then they basically composite that image together. And that is like a filming technique you could use and everything. But that said, when you're mixing CGI characters in with the real props or settings in your video or whatever, you want to make the CGI character kind of match the image quality of the rest of your scene. If further back in your scene it's out of focus, you want to make that CGI character slightly out of focus. If you look around, you see that the amount of detail in like the light reflections or whatever, you know, what they are, how crisp they are, how sharp they are, you want to kind of match that here. So comparing this guy again to, where's Rexy? Right here. I mean, granted, this is a close-up shot, so you should be getting some more specularity there. I know there's an image of the T-Rex in the first Jurassic Park. It's a little bit more close-up. Trying to find that to do like a like-to-like comparison. This one isn't truly close-up because the actual scene is further stretched out. This isn't really comparable because this is in like warm daytime lighting. I'm looking for something at that during that night scene. You know, this might be a pretty decent example in the scene. So now this image is from, you get this image of the T-Rex like for a split second. It's not the most well animated if you were staring at it for a long time, but it's in a split second. And frankly speaking, it is decently out of focus, but that's probably by design because you have a lot of motion blur, right? You're going to have a lot of motion blur in real life, so you can kind of get away with some of the lack of details. But what I wanted to pay attention to is look at the gradient of colors. Look at how fine the details are of like the light reflections. You're not getting like individual little reflections on each individual little scale. You're getting kind of like big groupings of light, right? Compared to this. There's too much. The detail looks almost too good for a natural camera. And then something about this eye too is really uncanny. Like the eye, it looks too perfect, too glistening. It doesn't look natural. It doesn't look like a natural eye. It looks like an eye that, you know, you find in a store or something. I don't know how else to put it. Like it just doesn't look like a natural eye, especially for a creature that's supposed to be like really, really old in its senior years. You might expect like a little bit. Oh, here's one. Whoa, the hell. Jesus Christ, it looks bad to me. It looks so bad to me. try this. Jurassic Park Rexy. 1993. 1995. I don't think this is a scene from the movie. I think this is like a... And I can't really use these ones as an example because I'm pretty sure that this is actually an anatomic like model. Yeah, like an actual model they built for the... But I guess it is instructive because what we want to compare is how a character would be lit in real life versus like with CGI. Here we go. This is probably a good example. So you get a lot less gradient of coloration, right? Because naturally with like a natural camera with a creature that's in motion and everything, you're probably not expecting to pick up every little fine detail of different gradation of color. Granted, I guess you do have a lot of specularity on I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to like assess what it is about this image that looks fake to me with my, you know, my untrained opinion on it. And look at this eye, right? Look at that eye, and then look at this eye. Much duller, right? Granted, the light source is different. They're in the middle of the park in this scene, so maybe the light source here is more intense, more illuminating. But yeah, look at the darks. The darks in this region, you're not getting every little individual scale having like a different value of dark brown or whatever it is. You're almost getting like almost like the same color throughout all of here versus I don't know. Yeah, I mean I don't truly know what I'm talking about here, but I'm just trying to speculate what it is about this that looks weird to me. I wonder if anyone's done like an analysis on this. What are oh, I need to add those guys, the guys who look at CGI. Why does Rexy look fake in Jurassic World? Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find the exact analysis of the exact scene that I'm looking for. See, now this is CGI as well, but I actually feel like this is pretty good. You know, what is it about this particular scene that's pretty good? I will say, right, that this is more in focus than the stuff in the foreground. But I think because of the composition of the scene, in other words, how everything is framed, like where everything is with respect to the scene, your eyes are focused here. So I don't think you're really like registering that this is almost as in focus as this is, which is kind of weird because you're expecting things are getting more out of focus towards the back over here, which isn't necessarily true. But you could see in the scene like these are pretty well in focus up here in the foreground. And then the focus drops off towards the back over here. So this should be decently out of focus. Or alternatively, you can have this be the focus, but then that means that the foreground here will be slightly out of focus. Or alternatively, you have the entire thing, everything in focus. right? Which would simulate kind of how your eye is naturally looking at the world because your eye is making those adjustments everywhere that you look. But instead, there's inconsistency here. But I don't think you're really registering it because your eyes are drawn here and you're not even thinking about what's in the foreground so much. I wonder if that's a term. I wonder if anybody talks about specularity. Specularity in CGI is the property that determines how the surface reflects light. Yeah, that is what it's called. Okay. CGI, Jurassic World. Wonder if anybody talks about this. Specularity in CGI. Okay, no. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Anyways.
Well, guys, if you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, follow, subscribe, throw a
We got
prime.
so off track. It's almost like what were we talking about again? But yeah, so Ethan was talking about basically, I think saying he's capturing them, admitting that they're trying to actually replace, like be a market substitute, which is a big, big no-no, right? And like she's basically just outwardly saying it, explicitly saying that.
If you liked the content, if you enjoyed your time here.
It turns out they just do it for you. You couldn't cook up a more incriminating statement if you tried. Denim's the queen of self-loaning.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
Prevail again. There's one thing about copyright you should know is that
it makes me wonder though, like these streamers, like they've been in the game for some time. Do they not know that this is the case? That, you know, these are the standards? Like there is a standard, right? There, my understanding, there's a legal standard for what is fair use. And one of those things are going to be whether or not the reproduction or whatever can be considered like a I don't know how else to put it. I'm trying to look for a different word, but I guess it's just market substitute. I don't want to use that word because everybody just uses that same phrase, but that's basically what it is. Right? Is your content like of a different nature? Is it a different thing, or is it really just serving as a replacement for the original work, right? And that's what she's saying. She's saying, oh, you should watch it here instead of watching it there. Whether or not it's taking views away from the original, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but I think you guys get what I mean.
you got to register it before you publish to be eligible for statutory damages and attorney's fees, which is the main biting force of a copyright infringement lawsuit. Well, I'm happy to tell you guys now, I, Ethan Klein, have registered Hassan Piker Content Nuke with the United States Library of Congress. Some of you guys out there sweating? Even though theoretically I could sue a lot more creators and rake in millions of dollars, but the purpose of this is not financial gain. People like XQC and Asmongold may have watched the entire thing, but I would never sue them just for doing that. I don't want to chill the reaction community into fear. Actually, the opposite. I hope that we can all unite against this type of egregious behavior that not only makes us all look bad, but could destroy the commentary community as we know it.
Well, guys, if you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, follow, subscribe, throw a prime.
The state of reaction content on Twitch is so broken, these creators feel comfortable looking right into a camera and saying outright, hey, I'm stealing this guy's content. Pay me instead of him. This is not a healthy environment, and with people like Hassan reacting to entire TV shows on stream, my fear is that Sony or Disney comes along, sues everybody, and sets a devastating precedent that could endanger our entire field. Now, before I tell you who the 3 people I'm suing are, I just want to make it clear that they all met this very specific high...
By the way, I mean, I should say that I actually like React content. It's good background noise for me when I'm working sometimes. But I will pretty much exclusively look for stuff that is like people reacting to a movie I've already seen before. And part of the reason is because I don't really have to pay too close attention to understand like the context. If I've seen the movie already, I know what scene they're on, I know what the context of the scenes are. And also because like if it's a movie or show that I haven't seen yet, I want to see it myself first before I watch it through like a reactor who's going to, you know, split up the video, you know, cut out key context, pause it and stuff like that. I want to see it in its entirety. So I'll really only ever watch React content that's to stuff I've already seen. When it comes to movies and shows, a little bit different when you're talking about like political commentators reacting to other political commentators. I don't mind that so much, but yeah.
High bar of.
So I mean, the reason I'm saying that is because it's a good kind of example of the whole concept of whether or not it's a market substitute. I'm not watching those people reacting to like TV shows and movies as a market substitute, you know, explicitly. I want to watch the actual show, like Andor, for example, right? Andor season 2. I want to watch that myself. I haven't seen it yet, so I haven't watched any of the reactions. I've been avoiding them until I actually see the show myself. So that version of React content, it's not a replacement for actually watching the show. You know, it's of a different nature. It's something I'd really only ever watch if I had already seen the show and I just want to see how other people would react to it, or hear how they react to it in the background, or really just kind of have mindless noise in the background while I'm working. And it's something I don't really have to pay attention to. It's not really important. It's not really super thought-provoking. It's not like a new show or anything, so I don't have to pay attention to it.
Criteria that I set forth earlier. These people were not targeted based on their gender, their.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like Ethan specifically tailored his strategy here around what is the specific legal standard for what would be called in this copyright violation. I'm not sure what the technical charge or not charge or whatever it would be. I don't know if it'd be a charge. I don't know if that's what it'd be called. I imagine this is like a civil tort kind of case, kind of thing. I don't know if you would call it a charge.
Identity, their political beliefs, all 3 are on this list. In fact, they're the only 3, as far as I could tell, that reacted to the full video. Drum roll, please. Who's sweating at home, guys? Casey Tron, the queen of ripping farts and bong loads.
They do musicals. They're very musical people. I know. Are you being serious? Dog, what do you... Look! You think I made this?
Frogan, who, bless her soul, she's still rising.
Can I walk away and use the bathroom? Do I have permission?
It's a Leia outfit.
Can I use the bathroom, please? I'll leave it playing.
Simplify inventory and scale your business with Katana Cloud Inventory.
Okay, what am I wearing to this first date? I want my bag to match my outfit. Don't panic. Am I a rocker girly today? My cool and classic. It's coming together. I'm doing my favorite Nolita bag. The bag charm is so cute. Okay, I'm ready. Shop yours at...
That's a first date outfit. It looks incredibly unimpressive. Right? I feel like the modern like Gen Z trend right now is to look ironically shitty. Like, it reminds me of Seinfeld. Right? But the thing is, like, you look back on Seinfeld and the fashion wasn't good, right? But like right now people wear this shit like ironically. Like it's ironic. Like, I look shitty, but I'm being ironic about it. Like, okay. I think what it is like Gen Z don't have friends in real life, so they watch all these sitcoms. That's like their substitution for what, you know, what an active social life would be like. And then they want to dress like that because that is comfy and reminiscent to them, I guess. That's my armchair psychology at work. But like, is this not like the Gen Z fashion trend right now to like wear shit like this? Even like their jeans are kind of baggy right now and their shirts are kind of baggy right now. I definitely see like Gen Z people wearing some shit like this. And by the way, that's not to say like the 2000s like hipster shit was cool either. It wasn't. Okay, I mean this looks kind of cool, but people are not dressing like this. This isn't a good example. People dressed like this. Or it's supposed to be 2000s. This is like more modern stuff. Hipster fashion. Jesus Christ. Like, this looks okay to me. This looks cool. It was fine. This looks fine too, but no, it's kind of like more, it's like this shit. Like, sure, you're being stylish and everything, but like, if this is your everyday personality, you're doing too much. Where I'm just, like, this isn't really. See, now people are like posting photos of like the best examples because it's like a cool like retro style now, but like when it was all the rage, you had a lot of people that dressed like really kind of silly looking. Maybe I shouldn't type in fashion because that's probably going to pre-select for stuff that is fashionable. Silly? I'm also biasing the result now, but like, yeah, like shit like this was like terrible. But I was like, oh, I'm being ironic, so that makes it okay, I guess. Alright, I'm not gonna find good examples right now, fuck it. Alright, let's see what this tweet like has to say.
Just to see you alive. How goes the search?
How goes
The
it?
woman who stole Druga's beast took it to someone named Lage. Ever heard of him? That's a Wookiee for you.
Do not despair, O great feast master. We will find you suitable entertainment. Druga must be more gentle. He forgets the Wookiee is collateral. When the gambler repays his debt, he will expect his Wookiee returned intact.
What happens if the gambler doesn't pay his debt?
Then the Wookiee becomes Druga's property, but let us discuss your information. The Senator's daughter has made a critical error trusting Lage. He is no friend to her. Before the Empire imprisoned Lage in Shadowtown, we purchased some of his beast experiments for Druga's pleasure. Ghastly abominations.
I've never heard about any prison on Nar Shaddaa.
The Empire created it for those deemed too valuable to kill but too dangerous to release. Prisoners are restrained by cranial bombs. If Lage has Druga's beast, it may already be too late. Shadowtown is extraordinarily dangerous, but you must hurry. If you find Druga's Shanjaru, come to these coordinates.
Shanjaru.
Goodbye.
And hello. The name's Zank Hellrot, Captain. I'm Rogan the Butcher's personal bounty hunter.
Is that a man or a hover tank?
You like my armor? I polished it for this occasion.
This guy trying to kill me?
I hate to be picky, but right under your elbow, pretty dingy.
You've got a talent for digging holes with your mouth. Rogan says I can bring you back in pieces.
Rogan.
Hope you don't mind. I've got some new weapons to test. You've got a half-dead Wookiee for a sidekick. Guess beggars can't be choosers.
I don't need help killing worm-ridden filth like you.
I'll teach you some manners before you die. Take that!
That went down pretty easy.
apparently thinks Twitch is liable for me interviewing a Yemeni teenager who's only known genocide his entire life.
What happened?
And Denim's the queen of self-owning. And my...
Alright, I'm gonna be honest. This video is kind of boring me. I get the point, though. He's suing these people. They ripped off his content. They didn't really transform it. They, literally incriminated themselves by saying, hey, you know what, we're doing this to substitute. There's like, what, 20 more minutes of this shit? 12 more minutes? I'm good. We get the point. But yeah, I mean, I hope these, I don't know if I want their lives destroyed or anything, but they need to learn a lesson. And that's part of it too, is like people need to have consequences for bad behavior, and maybe they wouldn't act out as much as they do. So, you know, maybe, hopefully, all of this turns them into better people on the other side of it. I won't hold my breath or anything, but, you know.
So we've talked a number of times, y'all, about...
All right, let's see. Kyle Kalinski's got some shit about Joe Rogan.
With Rogan. He's like, anytime I watch any of his...
I'll just skip ahead, because I probably don't want to watch this video either. I know Rogan had Bernie Sanders on, and at one point they were talking about climate change, and Rogan doesn't believe in climate change anymore because of the people he hangs out with. And Rogan made this point, and if you've ever argued with climate change deniers, like, you get used to their arguments pretty quickly. There's really no good excuse for why liberals and leftists and like political commentators aren't familiar with the arguments at this point. Like, this has been going on for decades now. Like, you should know. They use the same arguments every time, right? But one of the arguments Rogan brought up was like, oh, we're actually in a cooling period. The climate always changes, right? It always fluctuates. Yes, the climate does change over time. That's why the term even exists in the first place. The climate scientists who talk about climate change, they already know that, right? Sometimes these people will say that like they're saying something that the climate scientists have never considered before. They know that. Of course they know that. What they're talking about when they talk about man-made climate change is something that deviates from the natural climate patterns that we would expect to observe. And when Rogan says that we're in a cooling period, it's called an interglacial period, is what we're in right now, actually. It is a cooling period, but that's what it's supposed to be. That's what the natural cycle would be at. But we're actually seeing warming, right? So it's funny that Rogan even says that, because him saying that, if he thought about what he was saying, he'd realize, like, well, wait a second, we're supposed to be in a cooling period, but we've seen the temperatures increase over and over, year over year, at a rate that is outside of like what you typically expect on a geological time frame, which points out that, like, hey, something is wrong here. It's not the way things are supposed to be, right? It's outside of the norm. So there's that. Another common, I'm just going to skip these videos. I'm probably going to call it a night, to be honest. I'm kind of tired, but I'll just go over some of the other arguments real quick. So you got that argument. You have people that'll say like, oh, they fudged the climate data or something like that. And I think there was a study, or there was an article a few years back where some of the IPVC data was fudged or something. The issue with that is, though, that they're cherry picking. They're taking just that one example where some scientists did lie, and they're basically saying that all other scientists who talk on the matter, all other science on the matter is incorrect and false, and that's not true, right? You can look up different studies on this. There's a lot of studies on it, and they all kind of arrive at the same conclusion. Of course, you're going to find some outliers when you have a topic like this that's been studied by so many people. But it's kind of one of those things, like if you go to 99 doctors or 100 doctors and 99 of them say that you have cancer and one of them says you don't have cancer, you're not going to listen to the one who says you don't have cancer, right? You're going to listen to the majority of the experts on the topic. That one person who says you don't is probably making a mistake. He's probably making an error, or he's lying to you. And that's the case with the climate science. So you have all these studies, and we have all this empirical data that's pointing towards there's a warming trend that's outside of what we would expect for the climate change patterns. That warming trend is at a rate that's not natural, it's artificial. And so you've had in the past maybe one or two scientists who did lie and who kind of fudge their numbers, okay, but that's one data point. You have some other scientists or quote unquote scientists who say that their data says otherwise, right? Okay, that's another data point. But if you have 2 or 3 of these, right, that are like, okay, this seems to point in the opposite direction of the climate change story, right? Oh, I got 4 examples. But there's thousands of the other scientists who are saying actually it is climate change that's man-made caused, and here are data for it, and these data sets are actually solid, they're actually legitimate, we didn't fudge these numbers. Why are you going to listen to the 4 outliers? You're listening to the 4 outliers because you want it to be true, and you're looking for any little piece or negative information that confirms that bias, rather than just taking an objective view. You are, right, we don't use the term anymore for whatever reason, but we need to bring it up more often. You are cherry picking. And the reason why cherry picking is bad is because you're ignoring all the data to the contrary in order to look at just the very little minute specific data that seems to confirm your bias. It's not a good way of reasoning things. So if anyone ever tells you like, oh, the IPCC, whatever, fudge the numbers, just look it up yourself. You know, look up, okay, or ask them the question, is that the only data set that we have on climate change? Oh, it's not? Okay, then why are you cherry picking for, right? Some other people will say that, oh, it's actually due to solar activity. It's my understanding actually that we've had record low solar radiation, right? There's a good website actually that goes through all of the talking points and debunks them all. So let's just look that up and was it this one? I think it is this one, maybe. It's the sun. In the last 35 years of global warming, sun and climate have been going in opposite directions. Yeah, this is my understanding is that the output from the sun has actually been at a historic low. Yeah, so you're here. The sun's energy has decreased since the 1980s, but the Earth keeps warming up. So when people say this, like, oh, it's because the sun, it's because of solar activity, like they're either just lying. Probably the people who made up this are just lying, or they're just saying things that they've heard other people say that I don't really know. Yeah, the sun has experienced a slight cooling trend in the last 35 years. So there's data on this, of course. Without very, this is very short. The larger the change in solar radiance, the larger the energy imbalance it causes, and thus the larger radiant force. So they've reconstructed TSI over the last 300 years, compared a flux transport model with geomagnetic activity and cosmic records, and derived reconstruction of TSI. TSI. So I don't know why they're showing this graph, because this graph makes it look like it's an upward time trend, but this looks like more accurate data. And you're seeing, so not only are you seeing like an overall trend downward, but you're also seeing like the area that we're in right now, the 2010s, is a valley. It's not a crest. Yeah, and it doesn't look like we were anywhere close to rising to a crest yet. And see, look at I appreciate about this site is they're really going into the data here, and they're providing a lot of data. They're not just cherry picking. Something else other people will say, another common talking point is like, oh, you know, there's the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. What is it? Percentage of atmosphere CO2. 0.04%. So, oh, it's 0.4%. How can that cause like the majority of the heating? Like it's not even, you know, it's not even a lot. It's a small amount. But the rebuttal to this is that different chemicals or whatever will have different like amounts of effect on a particular thing. So for example, right, you might have heard of the poison called ricin. Ricin is a poison. Ricin in a very, very small amount, actually let me Google this. How much ricin. I'm gonna be on an FBI list now. 15 times over at this point. To kill a person. Get me a call from the FBI. So ricin is a kind of poison. Is it from castor seed? How much ricin is lethal? 5 to 10 micrograms. Microgram. Just for like a visual reference to see like what a microgram looks like. Approximately 10 milli. So look at this. This is 10 milligrams of granulated sugar, right? A microgram is, I think, 1,000th of a milligram. So you're talking something that is, this is 10 milligrams, not even just 1 milligram. And you take this and then you divide this by 1,000. That's what you're looking at, a microgram. And we're saying here that, what was it, 5 to 10 micrograms of ricin is enough to kill a person. So let's say you drop a little bit of ricin in water or something, a person drinks it. I think that actually happened with someone, Russia killing someone with ricin in tea. Ricin is introduced poison that can be added to tea. While the show portrays it tasteless, odorless, in reality certain components of tea like can actually neutralize ricin. Ricin is the highly toxic protein derived from castor beans. Okay, so certain teas will neutralize the ricin, but let's pretend you put it in water or something. So let's say you have a whole cup of water, but you only have 5 micrograms of ricin in there. The ricin's going to kill you, right? Even though as a proportion of the total drink that you're drinking, it's like a small microscopic amount, right? But it has a disproportionate effect on your body. The same thing with the atmosphere. Just because there's 0.04% of CO2 in the atmosphere doesn't mean, oh, that, that's, 99.96% of the atmosphere is something else, so it can't be causing the climate change. Well, that 0.04% is all it takes. In the same way that 5 micrograms of ricin is all it takes to kill you, even though that's so small compared to the rest of your body, right? What's another common talking point? Oh, well, the heating will be good for the plants, right? Because the plants they like sunlight, they like warm environment. Yeah, and we like water, right? We drink water, we need water to survive, but too much water and we drown. The same thing with the plants. There is a range of temperatures that plants like. Maybe they like a little bit warmer atmosphere, but past a certain point, you wind up killing off the plants because it's too hot. Everybody knows this who's ever tried to have plants in their house. You can dry plants out if they get too much sun. So, there's another common one. Oh, the plants and animals will adapt, they'll evolve. Well, evolution for larger animals takes millions of years. It doesn't happen in the time frame that we're seeing the warming happening today. And in fact, we're actually seeing we're actually living through a mass extinction event, the sixth mass extinction event, the Holocene mass extinction. We don't feel it because these things happen on like a geological timetable, right? So you usually don't see this amount of species go extinct over the period of time that we're looking at. But we are saying that, and the main cause of it, the research point to, is human activity. So things like climate change, things like pollution, things like chopping down forests and whatnot. Those things are causing extinction of a bunch of different animals. So animals can't simply just adapt. Microorganisms, viruses or bacteria, those can adapt pretty quickly, right? Because they reproduce quickly, their life cycle is really quick. But for larger animals, macroorganisms, mammals, we can't adapt quickly enough for the kinds of changes that we're seeing to the environment that quickly. So another talking point, I didn't even know this one, right? But I've heard this before. People say, oh, in the 1970s, scientists were predicting an ice age. What they're doing is, again, they're cherry picking. There might have been one or two scientists who had said this, right? But the majority of the climate science or the climate papers in the 1970s were predicting warming. But also, it doesn't matter, right? Just because people were wrong in the past doesn't mean that they're wrong now, right? Climate sensitivity is low. We're heading into an ice age. Not really. We're heading out of an ice age. We were supposed to be in an interglacial period. Interglacial periods. Let me see. Let me look up the interglacial cycle. Glacial cycle. So if you look at the cycle, let's look at this. And by the way, like this kind of gives you an idea of why the warming that we're seeing is so unusual, because when you look at this, you look at, oh, this data is jumps high, jumps low, jumps high, jumps low. But look at the scale here. This is over hundreds of thousands of years, not a few decades, hundreds of thousands of years. So this would be like a glacial period right here. We're supposed to be probably like somewhere over here, right? But it's supposed to take thousands and thousands of years for the temperatures to increase. We're just like speed running it. So actually, if I pull up, like a climate change, like a climate change graph. Geologic time. Okay, here we go. This is the one that I always look for. Okay. So if you look at this graph, right? Now, keep in mind that you see huge, crazy changes between trends that are over here, trends that are over here, trends over here. But understand, like, over here in this time period, we had, like, when you had the Earth formation, right? There was a time period where Earth was, like, covered in volcanoes and stuff like that. The Earth went through all these changes during its formation. But then things kind of stabilize. And the period of time that we've been in has cycles, but it's relatively stable, right? This period right here. So then we come to, now keep in mind, right, that the scale changes between these sections. So these are hundreds of millions of years. Here we have tens of millions of years. Here we have, single digit millions of years. Now we go into thousands of years, right? So the time between here and here is actually way wider than it looks like here, right? But when we get over here, now we're talking about just decades, or 5,000 years, 10,000 years, 15,000 years, right? So what we're looking at is like a snapshot of one of these cycles. You probably can't see this under the graph. Let me go over here. So this little period right here should be like one of these, like right here, like a little sliver of this would be like this right here. And you see, if you zoom in to one of these graphs and you stretch out that time, because right now we're compacting the time in the graph like this, but if you stretch it out, right? If you stretch out that time, pull like, okay, this is like a million years right here. And now we stretch it out so that we could see like the minutes, the hours, the not the minutes, the hours, but like the tens of years or hundreds of years, right? Because we can't see it when we're zoomed out this far. We need to zoom in, right? You zoom in and you expand it out. I'm not explaining that well, but the point I'm making is then you see I don't know if I can capture this within the frame. I don't think I am. Oh, you're not even getting this because I closed the window for the YouTube video. I gotta recalibrate it. Were you getting any? You guys probably weren't getting any of that. I need to pay better attention to that. There we go. You guys aren't seeing any of this. Let me just draw it actually. Ah, well then I have to create a window for that. That's okay, never mind. Can you see that? You can't really see the edge of the graph, it's cut off. Anyways, basically what you see is that your gradual change that you would expect to see. We reach like towards the industrial, and it, by the way, the data lines up with the industrial revolution really well. Once you hit the revolution or the industrial revolution, you're seeing heating that's kind of going like this, right? We're in a cold period, relatively speaking, because you have like a glacial period, right, that forms like a valley. Then you go back up to a heating period, right, and you have like the peak of your heating period. We're probably somewhere like right here, right, when we're going up, but we're still in a relatively low spot on the graph. Now, not in geological time, but in our time, right, in our time scale, that change is very slow and gradual over time. It's going up, but it's very, very slow. If you look at the graph on the climate, you know, the past 1,000 years, let's say, you see it kind of gradual, very slow, almost a flat line, right? Very slow. And then towards the end, you hit the Industrial Revolution, it starts shooting up exponentially. And that's how you know, by the way, that it's not natural. Something is going on there, right? And when you look at the correlation between that change and the Industrial Revolution, right? That lines up. When you test the like the absorptivity of CO2 of other molecules, right? By the way, the chemistry involved in this, we've known it since like the 1700s. This isn't like people treat it like it's purely just statistical, you know, prediction kind of science. No, we have an understanding of heating, like heat transfer, heat generation. This wouldn't be generation, but this would be heat transfer. When it comes to chemicals, we understand, right, that like the way your microwave works, it works because the water molecules have a tendency to absorb microwave radiation. We have an understanding of the different radiation frequencies that come from the sun. We have an understanding of different chemicals, how they respond to different kinds of radiation. We know, we understand this. We could test in a lab very easily. Take like a sample of CO2, take a sample of air without CO2, right? Expose them to radiation. Which one's temperature will increase over time? They both will, but right? Which one will retain more of it? And you're going to see, it doesn't work exactly like this, but the point is that we have an understanding of the chemistry of the radiation, of how heat is transferred, how radiation is transferred between molecules of different chemicals. We understand that. We could test it. We know that it's true. It's not just statistical. It's not just measuring the temperature. We understand from like a first principle standpoint how it works. So, anyways, what else on this? Hockey stick is broken. I don't know what that means. Okay, so I mean, there's a bunch, but anyways, if you're skeptical about global warming, if you've heard like a lot of people make claims, go to this website here, skepticalscience.com. Go to their section on global warming and climate change. They do a really good job of explaining the science. They have each one of these. If you click into it, these like common talking points. They'll explain it to you both in like, so this one, climate change before, right? They have like a basic explanation, right? Kind of like more for like your average person. They even have a comment section so people can like agree and disagree and stuff. That's good. It's open to discourse and dialogue, but they have like a basic one that's kind of for laymen. They have like an intermediate explanation that gets a little bit more into the details, right? I saw in one of these they even had like an advanced explanation. That might be for the sun one. Yeah, here's the advanced one. direct solar effect. We got some equations here. We got like these charts and data. We have like derivations of like these formulas and whatnot. You can get really into it if you want to. So, you know, you don't have the excuse that the information isn't out there. It's out there. And you don't have the excuse that, oh, the climate change deniers, or the climate skeptics, as they might want to call it themselves, like, you know, they have all these arguments that they make, and they're like compelling arguments, and no one's addressing it. There are people that have addressed these, right? You might have to dig a little bit for it. I think that's unfortunate. We should have people in the media who are doing a better job of explaining these things. But like, here it is. I'm telling you guys, if you want an explanation of why they're wrong, it's right here. Read it, right? Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for the night. I'm pretty tired at this point. It's pretty early, pretty late, depending on how you want to look at it. We'll pick this up again maybe tomorrow if I have some time. So I'll see you guys. Deuces.